This is Tank's Vlog for September 30th, 2018, wrapping up today in sports. We are brought to you by Allow Me to Be Frank, the weekly podcast available on SoundCloud and iTunes. That's Allow Me to Be Frank. Last week we did a great show with Smitty, so tune in. We got the great football games coming up this week. Check out my picks down below. But before we get into college football, we have to acknowledge the game I went to today, which was David Wright's final game. It seemed like the match actually kind of wanted David Wright's career to last forever, so they didn't score a run until the 13th inning, and it was just two teams. It reminded me of the Jimmy versus Timmy fight on South Park, as just two brutal teams just unable to score and just with incompetent offenses. So, but the whole story today was David Wright. His career ended 2 years ago, but he wanted to come back one more time. Didn't want to have his career end with him being diagnosed with spinal stenosis. He wanted to have one last chance for the fans to cheer his name, and that's what today was all about. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Our fearful season is done. The season crashed and burned, and we didn't win much. The port is near. The bells of another lost season are excruciating. While follow our eyes, at times we couldn't watch. The team was unwatchable, except when DeGrom was on the mound. But oh heart, oh bleeding drops of red, where on that Citi Field the captain lies. From the horrible training staff when Ray Ramirez was here, and somehow his spine crumbled like a cookie. Oh Captain, rise up one last time. Try to get one last hit. But at last, you just popped up in foul territory. Your skills have eroded. Oh Captain, dear Captain. So, Mets did get the win. 13 innings. Austin Jackson walk-off hit. And tomorrow ends another lost, cruddy season. DeGrom should get the Cy Young. I'll be doing my annual awards in the next few days, so keep an eye on that. And I'll be doing it through Barstool, so keep an eye on that. Well, David Wright was personally my big story today. Baseball had really big stories, as the Dodgers have clinched the last spot for the playoffs, crushing the Giants today 10-6. Now, while the Dodgers won, the Rockies lost. So the Rockies, who clinched the playoffs yesterday, are now in a flat-footed tie for the National League West after a 12-2 loss to the Nationals. Now the Rockies and Dodgers are tied, and in the Central, the Brewers, with Christian Yelich continuing his MVP efforts, is now making a serious run at the Triple Crown. Leads the league in hitting, leads the league in homers, and is only a few RBI away from taking over that lead too. What a season that Christian Yelich has had. I mean, it was quiet at first, but as the Brewers made their recharge, he's been the leading factor. And earlier in the day, the Cardinals beat the Cubs 2-1. Although the Cardinals were eliminated today by the Dodgers win, Cubs and Brewers are tied. Now, here's the interesting thing. If both teams remain tied after Sunday's games, they will both play a one-game playoff on Monday, with the winners going to the division series and the losers playing for the wild card game. That's how crazy this last day of baseball is going to be. Yankees today beat the Red Sox 8-5, got their 100th win of the year, as Giancarlo Stanton got pegged on a home run ball by a fan sitting on the Green Monster. Red Sox might sign him up. Reds beat the Pirates 3-0. Astros swept a doubleheader against the Orioles, winning the first game 4-3. And the nightcap 5-2. After that loss, the Baltimore Orioles, with one game to play, have 115 losses. Ooh. Rays beat the Blue Jays today 4-3. Phillies got a good start from Aaron Nola. After all this trouble, they finally won a game. It was the Twins beating the White Sox 8-3. White Sox need a win Sunday to avoid 100 losses. Royals over the Indians 9-4. Diamondbacks edged the Padres 5-4. A's were 5-2 winners over the Angels. And the Mariners beat the Rangers 4-1. Now we can switch to college football. And Notre Dame, Ian Book, second straight great start today. 270 yards, 4 touchdowns as Notre Dame layeth the smackdown on Stanford, 38-17. Number 1, Alabama crushed Louisiana 56-14. And that's by shutting off the engines in the third quarter. They had a 49-0 lead at the half. Didn't even really try in the second half. Louisiana got all 14 points in the fourth quarter. I guess that gives Nick Saban something to yell about. Georgia beat Tennessee 38-12. Tennessee still has not won a game in the SEC. Clemson, who lost to Syracuse last year, was down by 10, lost their quarterback, but rallied to beat the Orange today 27-23. In Happy Valley, it was a day of sadness as Penn State blew a fourth quarter lead and did a absolute bizarre play at the end of the game when they had a chance to go down the field and get the game-winning field goal. Ohio State winners 27-26. Despite a great day from Trace McSorley, 286 yards through the air and 175 yards on the ground. LSU continues to make a mockery of my preseason pick, improving to 5-0 with a 45-16 win over Ole Miss. It was Oklahoma behind the great passing of Kyler Murray, 66-33 winners over Baylor. Auburn beat Southern Miss 24-13. Washington clobbered BYU 35-7. West Virginia beat Texas Tech 42-34. It was Central Florida beating up Pitt 45-14. They're still undefeated. Michigan spotted Northwestern early 17-0 lead, but the Wildcats could not hold it and end up losing the game 20-17. That's one that they're going to regret letting slip by. Kentucky is now 5-0 after a 24-10 win over South Carolina. Texas, perhaps looking ahead to Oklahoma next week, survived a scare, beating Kansas State 19-14. It was Oregon bouncing back off of a terrible loss against Stanford last week, beating Cal 42-24. Michigan State had a Sparty party, but holding off a late rally from Central Michigan 31-20. Duke gets in the top 25. Duke leaves the top 25 after a 31-14 thumping at the hands of Virginia Tech. Florida might be entering the top 25 after beating number 23 Mississippi State 13-6. Let's go beyond the rankings, see what happened in some other games and other conferences. Let's go first to the ACC, where Boston College beat Temple 45-35. It was Georgia Tech 63-17 winners over Bowling Green. North Carolina State at 4-0. They should be entering the top 25 discussion after a 35-21 win over Virginia. Wake Forest bounced back after rough loss against the Irish last week to beat Rice 56-24. And Florida State, who has struggled all year long, scored 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to trip up Louisville. Some bizarre play by Louisville. Louisville, 5 fumbles. Oof, shame on the Cardinals. They completely gave this game to Florida State, who is now back on track at 3-2. Moving on to the Big 12. It was Oklahoma State bouncing back off of a bad loss last week to beat hapless Kansas 48-28, while TCU edged Iowa State 17-14. In the Big 10, Rutgers actually played a competitive game, scored 10 points in the fourth quarter, and almost came all the way back, but it's Rutgers. They lost 24-17 to Indiana. Indiana is one of the weaker teams in the Big 10 conference. However, a team that might be the weakest team in the Big 10 conference may not be Rutgers. Nebraska, oh my, Cornhuskers, 42-28 loss to Purdue. 0-5 for the first time in over 70 years. What has happened to Nebraska? In the Pac-12, it was Washington State edging Utah 28-24. Arizona State continues to play to win the game as they beat up a dreadful Oregon State team 52-24. USC held off a late charge from Arizona, winning 24-20. In the SEC Conference, it was Texas A&M, who's had perhaps the toughest schedule so far in the NCAA, surviving a tough battle with Arkansas 24-17. Vanderbilt beat Tennessee State 31-27. And in the Mountain West Conference, Boise State clobbered Wyoming 34-14. It was Nevada 28-25 winners over the Air Force. Liberty stunned New Mexico 52-43. Hawaii beat San Jose State in overtime 44-41, while Fresno State shot down the Toledo Rockets 49-27. Today's 3 stars are Kyler Murray of Oklahoma, Aaron Nola of the Phillies, and Christian Yelich of the Brewers. Today's birthday shout-out goes to yes, that's right, I did the Dirty Bird. Jamal Anderson turns 46. And we take a look back to 1973 when Johnny Unitas threw the last touchdown pass of his career and became the first player in NFL history to reach 40,000 yards passing. And he did it with the San Diego Chargers. I want to talk about great players in strange locations. I don't think it gets any stranger than if you ever see a picture of Johnny Unitas in a Charger uniform. So check out the full story at Barstool Sports and it's Sports Encyclopedia, where sports history lives. And if you haven't listened to Allow Me to Be Frank yet this week, do it now. SoundCloud, iTunes, and you can always buy the shirt, buy the shirt, buy the shirt, buy the shirt, buy the shirt. Look into my eyes. You want to buy the shirt. Good day.